Welcome, dear all, to twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. This is Stammer Stream, manga podcast and speech therapy combined. I'm your stammering host, Wensleydale Cheddar, here alongside your non-stammering host, Dr. Hovin, Greil 9, and Dr. Nova. We are here with the review of March 26th edition of Shonen Jump, starting of course with One Piece, chapter 899.
Well, I got to say, I didn't think this chapter was terribly good. I didn't think it had enough Guinness in it, to be honest. Wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, it was not enough good men, big men. Glory to Socialist Union.
Honestly, the fact that the cake wasn't made of potatoes was a real missed opportunity here.
Okay, any more, like, nationalities we can insult?
Oh, I can go all day. I'm actually Irish.
Well, I've got to say, I thought Raiju's looked mighty fine in this chapter. What a babe. I'd take her to the Barbie any day.
I thought it was a good chapter. Nice character interactions and solid build-up. No, but let's go actually, because I think while doing these accents we won't listen to each other, just to what we say, just to us doing them. So, chapter 899, the last bastion, that posh shithead. You know. Once in a while, I need reminders for how great of a shonen protagonist Luffy is, and this chapter was so endearing. Do you know what moment I'm talking about?
What, when he just goes, "Oh, why did Judge say all those nice things about you, Sanji?"
Yeah. He's so clueless, but he's such a good boy. Well, what did you guys think?
It was kind of an in-between chapter, but it did have those good character moments in there. And I like that they are already, like, Big Mom Pirates are already working on, like, okay, we make sure they do not escape and word does not get out. We do not want anyone to know that we kind of fucked up.
And it was
Yeah,
nice.
there's been a really... Oh, sorry.
It was nice to see Aladdin's crew come to see of Jinbei. With this, we kind of build up to climactic events of the final act. Jinbei officially joining the crew, and Big Mom finally eating the bloody cake.
Well, preparing to eat it. It's only next time that they probably eat it.
As we said last week, we still have got to have 100 chapters worth of a chase scene.
Yeah, I feel like the last few chapters I've just kind of chained together as, like, these will probably be a really fun read in, like, the volume, or just in, like, you know, in one go, but week on week it is, like, continuing to get to the point of I kind of want to see what we're going to move on to next. But obviously next chapter is chapter 900, so I assume something big is going to happen there. Something significant. Because I totally haven't read the scans ahead of it or anything. Totally.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I got no idea what could happen.
Well, me neither. I could only guess. Well, I really could only guess. I haven't read the next chapter.
Ace is back, guys! No. Anyway, yeah,
I
that's
imagine
pretty much
since it's a Sanji related arc, I could imagine only. Oh, guys! After waiting all these years again from Don Krieg's crew has finally come back to reunite with Sanji. Wow!
He was dressed up as that book guy the whole time. Who were the guests?
Wow, Queen was actually one of Big Mom's son.
Another thing I like is that, like, Jinbei just kind of, like, with Chopper and Luffy's utter cluelessness about what Judge meant, Jinbei just, like, laughing to the side, "Oh, you guys are great." Because usually he just functions as the straight man, so it's funny. It's nice kind of having him take it in a more jovial stride for a change.
Yeah,
Their buffoonery.
He's a great audience surrogate for this moment. we also
Well, not much else to say because this really is one of those in-between chapters between all the big beats.
yeah, we also have Morgans and Stussy escaping, so that well, we have some more tension on Mondor's side, who doesn't want the news of Big Mom Pirates.
Yeah, I mentioned that already.
Yeah. Oh, okay then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
So I do
Anyway.
kind of like that the people like are also kind of thinking like, what the fuck is this? We give all our due to stay here, and then the one we pay to is the one to fuck us over.
Yeah. Is there much more else to say, or shall we just move on to Food Wars?
I'd say
I don't
let's
have much,
move on.
I don't have much to say.
Yeah, I have quite a strong opinion on Food Wars. Shall I get to that?
Yeah,
Um,
to go on. So, Food Wars chapter 176. Yay! So it seems like this fan service has long since stopped being metaphorical, didn't it?
Okay. First of all, the funniest thing is around when the Azami arc was starting, I was just getting my friend into the series because the anime had just started, and I was like, the silly fan service kind of goes away after a while. It becomes more comical and less like TNA. Oh lord, the series is just—it's like the series heard me and was like, challenge accepted.
Hold my beer.
But wait, there's more!
But apart from anything else, okay, if we're really going to lean into this whole, the Nakiri have this gene that means when they taste really nice food, it makes them or other people physically disrobe. And like, we're really going into this explanation of Azami has this thing. I'm sorry, the finale of this has to be when Soma and Erina give him their dish, he actually disrobes. Like, if it's not that, I call fucking bullshit. It has to be that. Like,
I was gonna say that in my mind, the finale will be right after, like, it would be already this chapter that says, "It's my blessing," and then just a lawyer walks in, dude, you are now sued for sexual harassment of students. We're also revoking your teaching license, so you are fired at this instant. If you do not concede, we will throw you to jail. Fuck you.
I think for me, it's like, if you're going down silly fan service alley and giving like actual explanations to this, you need to have a payoff that like just goes all out on it. And having the big schemy villain man disrobe and have a big, like, a silly fan service orgasm would be the perfect way to do that.
I think that in a crowd of silly fan service moments that we've been getting this whole arc, I don't think it will have enough of an impact. So I'm just reading through this again, and I have a few questions. Like, where did the clothes even go? Do they just disappear? Because now I kind of have to treat this seriously, because Azami himself says that the fact that he stripped them out of the clothes, this shows how delicious the dish was. So,
and hold on, wait, he stripped the people in the cage, but not the judges? Okay, I guess because they already had their cheesecakey thing in the last round.
Do the clothes just dematerialize, or are because I don't see them anywhere else on the floor or something?
Yeah.
Well,
like,
it's not even that. It's not even that. You can see Ashiki handing like her a sheet or something to cover herself. So I have no idea. Like, this is. I don't know, something about the fact that this actually happened and their clothes literally just disappeared is something that's really making this just over the line of like, okay, this is a little bit just plain old stupid at this point. I can't quite do the so funny. It's just because like, wait, they literally disapparated?
Well, I do have to ask, how much difference does it make for Nikumi? Like, she always wears like just a bikini top and booty shorts. So now just the booty shorts are gone.
Yeah, but like, she's acting like she's really scared, like really self-conscious about being exposed all over, and it's a bit weird.
Oh, we're not having. I don't want to have this conversation.
But like, yeah,
I think we already made the point that this is pretty damn stupid. Like that their clothes just like evaporate.
In a sense,
Maybe
like
Tsukasa makes his food by the taste comes from your clothing. Yeah, I just somehow
the
cooked
thing
them
is,
into it.
I-
Even
I'm
I don't
not-
know how.
it's weird. It sounds weird to say, but I'm not sure whether I like there being an actual thing where people are just physically disrobed or not. Because on the one hand, it's really stupid, but on the other hand, a part of me really enjoys how stupid it is.
Well,
Yeah,
we've
So-
seen this
I feel
before.
like I should enjoy it too, but I just don't. It just seems stupid and
The wrong
boring
kind
at
of
the same
stupid.
time to me. So I think I've just gotten used to the gag.
I don't
think
think I have, but
maybe for me it's just the fact that there's Food Wars has always been riding the line because I don't personally believe the argument that like Food Wars is equal opportunity fan service. I don't quite believe that's the case. I think it's a comforting thing to believe, but I don't think it's quite the case.
Mm.
But this is definitely a case where I do sort of understand the over the top notion of it, but there's just something remarkably strange about the fact that this is actually existing in what is otherwise a very grounded series. Like there hasn't really been any. I know, because that's the thing. When you actually think about it, Food Wars is pretty grounded.
Yeah, in a
Just
series
in
like
terms of-
Toriko,
This
this
being
would fly.
grounded, just like
because okay, the weirdest thing about it is that like the first few the first few volumes, they lean very hard on the fan servicey element of the foodgasms. Then there's a long stretch where they're just so comedic and sort of removed from that like it kind of stops being as ecchi. And now like recently it's just leaned full hard back into that. It's just weird to me that I feel like there was a blank spot where that wasn't the case. And I'm not sure like why that was there and why it stopped being there.
I think it's been the issue with the fact that we've had so many Shokugekis back to back that they've kept having to try and one up themselves with the reactions again and again to make it not seem stale. The issue being that the last time they did this in the Fall Classic, there was actual punctuation in between the matches.
True.
So and in this case there's been like talks, but there have been talks in the same place, like okay, back to the stew room, again. So it's felt less separated.
Yeah.
So I understand that
Yeah.
you need it.
I'm just comparing this to like something like Fairy Tail, where it just gets progressively more fan servicey as it gets along, and there's a clear kind of downfall, if you want to say, or progression to it. Whereas this is like, it was kind of tamer for a bit, and now it's gotten less. It's more of like a bell curve, I guess.
I think
think
the
it's the
answer to
fact-
your question, Milo, is that Food Wars started dipping in popularity. So how to boost it? I wonder.
Maybe that's it.
I think it's so I think what the issue here ultimately, usually with the fan service, there's at least a joke with it. Like there's at least some kind of like funny gimmick, and it's what look like that. And in this case, it's just like, and I guess they've stripped, and it's less of a joke and more of just like, hey, here's some fan service. So it's almost like that line is a little less concrete.
So what you're saying is, this chapter was hot garbage.
I don't know why it became my catchphrase. I said it once.
It was just quite funny the way you said it. But
I think each of us have a catchphrase at this point. I have welcome, welcome, welcome. Greil has Dr. Stone, Dr. Stone, Dr. Stone. You have hot garbage. Milo.
I don't have hot garbage. I said it once.
Milo has. Oh, I love X. And
oh, I love
yeah, and Castor. I know it's not his catchphrase, but for some reason, I still keep saying in his voice, this park is fucking huge. It's just a text he sent me while we were searching each other in Regent's Park. But it's every time I want to compare something to something being really big, I just say this X is fucking huge.
Ooh.
We're all cartoon characters at this point, guys. We've just
goody.
got to roll with it.
So, are we done with Shokugeki no Soma for now?
Sure.
Let's move on to My Hero
I
Academia.
actually do have one thing I want to
okay.
say about the actual food,
Okay.
which is I think the idea of Tsukasa's specialty essentially being salt-crusted food is actually kind of clever. The fact that like he's a knight, and so his cooking style has to do with like covering things essentially in food armor, I think is pretty clever. So I did like that.
Oh yeah, it's kind of clever. Apart from this, hot garbage. All right then, let's move on to...
Again, I didn't think this chapter was that bad.
No, too late. Hot garbage it is. My Hero Academia, chapter 200. 176. I messed it up. It was Food Wars 256 and My Hero 176. Yeah.
Also, before we get into this, seems like the series is getting a movie now.
Yep. It's
Though the
called The
movie
Two Heroes.
poster has something really odd about it. Let's try and see if you can see what it is.
All Might's eyes.
Yes, we can actually see them.
I think I know why.
All Might.
Yes, I believe the movie is going to have feature some stuff of All Might when he was younger.
Oh.
No, that poster really doesn't give the impression since it only shows
Okay.
him in the background. Though maybe
I just looked at the news report saying like what the movie was going to be about, and that's what it said. So.
Oh, it said that. Okay.
Yeah.
I've just seen the poster. I haven't seen news reports.
Okay. I
Yeah.
It would be pretty cool to get a prequel movie from All Might's like prime.
Yeah, especially since anime movies based on existing ongoing manga properties aren't really known to be very consequential. As I learned from the One Piece movies at least. But
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of the format. You can't really do something that the main series has to also take into account, especially since then you just force like, okay, to get this plot point, you have to watch the movie. You can't just read the manga. But on the other hand, it's also, oh, okay, everything's back to status quo because we cannot do anything special here. That's kind of the curse. Like, you cannot do either without some big problems.
Is it gonna be a canonical prequel?
I don't think the whole film is going to be a prequel. All I know is that it's featuring some backstory with All Might. But I think it also features the current present-day main cast as well.
I mean, with that poster, it kind of has to. Why else would you
Yeah.
prominently display the 5 main characters?
I think it might be backstory in the sense of something like Film Z from One Piece, where like there is some backstory given for characters, but it's not something that will ever be referenced in the series.
Okay.
Either way, now the chapter, which has pretty fucking awesome color spread.
Oh yeah, Horikoshi used these new kinds of markers for it, called myopic markers, and he also used the same for the new volume cover, which is Deku going full all for one against Overhaul, and it's a really cool looking.
Yeah, probably my
cover.
second favorite.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, only behind the one with All Might, in his last battle.
So
yeah, I hope he uses these more. It looks awesome.
So we've already mentioned that we liked the down-to-earth setting last week, but I also love that the emotional stakes keep building up in spite of it. Deku wanting to make sure Gentle doesn't interfere with the festival really shows what kind of a hero he wants to be and is already.
Yeah, I'm kind of two minds on this fight. And on the one hand, I really like it as a fight, but on the other hand, I'm kind of confused as to what role Gentle's meant to play in this arc, because it's like I kind of expected him and the school festival to directly interact before Deku had the showdown with him. So it makes me wonder: is this going to be like a fight where Deku just takes him out and then goes to the festival and that's it, or is there going to be more to it?
Just to make a prediction, I think he's going to escape for now, and then Deku and some of the other students will try to will try to patrol the areas so that the festival isn't that the festival isn't cancelled.
Called off.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
And they'll try to end the fight and his appearance before anyone else notices.
Yeah, that does seem pretty likely. Also, we do finally get to see Deku use his new ranged shot, as well as as well as find out what those gauntlets do. And it's pretty simple. Like, they just focus the attack so he doesn't do collateral damage.
Yeah, it's,
So, guess all my advice stuck. Like, he can still fight with those on, without those on, but he might just hurt do some collateral damage meanwhile.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely like to see the wind pressure attacks again. I really did like them back when Deku used it more frequently.
Mm.
And I also absolutely love that Gentle is the kind of YouTuber who uses clickbaity titles like what was it? Check it out! I snuck into UA.
Yeah, even Deku just calls him. That's just clickbait. But yeah, this chapter works really well on raising the emotional stakes, because we know that nothing's really on the line. They'll just cancel the school festival and that's it. But when it shows even how Jiro got all excited about this, it shows why this matters to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because emotional stakes are stakes, and I think in this case, with what a lot of My Hero Academia has done, I mean, naturally, because it's a superhero story, is stakes resulting around bad things the villains could do, like we're gonna attack people or we're gonna kidnap people or something. But this is also a very superhero-esque goal, which is literally just to protect something that's going to make people happy. And I actually find it surprisingly compelling to see My Hero Academia tackle that.
Yeah. I do like also Jiro ending up being kind of inspired by Deku and making notes for everyone. I do like the small things that show how awesome by analysis Deku is.
Yeah, that is one of the things. The show, unlike with Black Clover, it doesn't go with every character saying he is so inspiring, he is so awesome.
Yeah.
It just rather shows the effect he has. Lets actions speak instead of words.
Yeah, you could say, take notes, Black Clover, because Deku is taking notes, actually. Ah! That
Corner, now.
comedy. Right.
That's supposed to be funny.
Ho 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 ho.
So,
I don't know.
Speaking of Black Clover, is there anything else we want to mention about My Hero?
Yeah, how has no one mentioned how awesome this guy's power is?
We have last week. I think.
His power wasn't revealed until this week.
Oh, okay. I must have forgotten. Okay. Yeah. His power is essentially Luffy's awakened devil fruit.
Mm-hmm.
As everyone
Yeah,
keeps saying.
No, yeah, I love the way that he uses it, and I don't know. There's just something remarkably entertaining about just the way he moves around. It's very showy, so it does seem like a very good quirk for someone like him. But also the way that it matches up with Deku's power, which a lot of the time has to be used in a very straightforward sense. This actually makes for a very compelling fight, so I'm liking this quite a bit.
Yeah, and I'll say, if you like it now, you're gonna love it next chapter.
Oh, joy.
And this is not ironic or sarcastic. You will love it.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
So,
for-
Black Clover?
I'm just gonna mention that, just looking over it, and for a My Hero fight, this is surprisingly easy to read. I don't have to wrap my head around all the movements and where does point A go to point B. So yeah, props for that. Yeah, Black Clover, chapter 150. So we
Gotta catch 'em all.
Yeah, we've got now I'm imagining a Pokemon rap made with Black Clover characters. Which one of you guys wants to improvise
okay.
it?
So just to be clear, so among the people who got turned evil by what just happened, Yuno's one of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he been one of the ones highlighted in this chapter then? Because the series is so obsessed with him, but like we're focusing on
saving him for some bigger confrontation.
maybe
Like they probably use him against Asta, to be honest.
right.
And this is just like Loki showing like they are far more powerful and they got no sympathy for you. Like pants to be darkened.
Yeah, it finally looks like the Magic Knights are in danger, and seeing all the allies turned elves and how stronger the magic looks like now when compared to the usual selves, makes me really interested for now. Real versus Asta in particular is probably the best matchup those two could have, since it's someone who can create any magic versus someone who can nullify any magic, just a limited amount of it. Still,
And I was just gonna say about how boosted they are. Like we all remember how powerful the Sea Dragon's Nest defense spell was, and Locke just destroys it in one shot.
Yeah.
As well as the Cherry Guy's magic.
Yeah, this really gives some scale to things. Although I still would have liked to have a better idea of how Ril's magic works, though. Just can he just create anything? Are there any limits to it? It's hard really to compare usual Ril to possessed Ril in terms of that. Wouldn't you say so, guys?
I mean, Greil was just a footnote for this chapter. I don't see much reason to talk about him here. What I want to talk about is Liar. Especially like him saying that you movies like he thinks your words were honest, just like back then. And that kind of fucked us over, so not making that mistake again.
Yeah,
I think this is another case of like not being that invested in Black Clover, so not having much to say about it for me.
Like these chapters are making me invested. Before this, I was the one who wrote the why Black Clover doesn't work and fuck you know. But now I'm interested actually.
Yeah, I wasn't so impressed by Raya since it's a basic, very simplistic character arc, the setting out that I've seen a few times already. So not really much invested in that. I'm waiting to see what happens next, and cautiously optimistic from now on.
Also gonna say his attack of like spatial. Sorry, a little tired still. So his attack of spatial magic and light magic that just like attacks super fast from every angle. That's pretty cool, and even manages to scratch Melio Leona, who we established to be a huge badass.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Haku from Naruto. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, but I think this really worked for establishing like the scale of power when you've shown that she's just unstoppable. and now they're going up against, and now suddenly she's getting pushed back.
Nova, I feel you've been wanting to say something.
Yeah, the twist itself is good. I do want to point out that some people are like, okay, this totally explains some of the plot holes brought up earlier. It doesn't. There is still a few plot holes based around this twist, namely one of the bigger ones being, why did nobody on the good guy's side bring up that it was weird that the Wizard King was telling everyone that they knew where the base was? That still seems like something that should have been brought up. So there are still plot holes around this. I think the actual idea is pretty good. And I think this is an interesting idea for a villain group. I suppose, and maybe this is just my own reservations. I'll be more curious to see essentially where this goes post first couple chapters, because I know that they're always the first couple chapters where the villains like have to seem, that there has to seem like a plausible threat. I want to see how long they can maintain this. And that's more optimistically speaking. I want to see them maintain this for a long time because this is interesting. Maybe just from last week, I'm sad that Sally's dead. I kind of liked Sally.
Yeah, same.
So I thought that was a bit of a bummer. But
Sally was the crazy glasses thingy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was kind of bummed out when she died.
Yes.
Also, one small spoiler in case you fear it. No, they do not just poke them with anti-magic sword and get rid of it.
That would seem weird if that could be a thing. So I assume that wasn't the case. If that was the case, I would actually laugh and start applauding. So I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yell, but I can just spoilers next chapter. They try, does not work.
Okay, good, because that would have been hilarious in like both a good and bad way. Just like, oh, dude, anti-magic solves everything.
Well, that's
yeah, like
then.
they did do that earlier when they had those kids under mind control. So even I fear that, like, oh god, don't tell me that's how they do it.
Yeah.
Well then, I'm uploading this on Tuesday then. All right then. Anything else?
That's a small spoiler.
Anything else to mention though,
No.
or shall we move on to We Never Learn?
We Never Land.
Yes, we never wars. That's right. We should scramble up chapter titles more creatively, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait.
Dr. Neverland.
Promised Neverland first, right?
If we're going by chapter count, yeah.
Okay, so Peaced Land, chapter. Oh, which one is it?
80.
Chapter 80.
The one with the Super Mario Galaxy color spread.
Okay, so what did you guys think about it?
Pretty good. The panel of the demon eating his demon GF, his demon girlfriend, there was something very Junji Ito-esque about the way it was laid out. Like, is it the Demizuka, is that her name? Polizuka? What's the name of the
Posca Demizu, yes.
Posca Demizu. She has a really good way of laying it out as quite a horrific thing in just like the body language, the angle, the way the last panel builds into it. It was a good horror panel.
Yeah, and
I thought.
I do totally get why the kids didn't just shoot at that point. Like, if I just saw like someone start eating another monster's brain like that, I would probably be in shock too and just unable to shoot.
Well, I'm gonna say that this might probably be a cultural difference here. Maybe eating the dead is kind of the demon's burial ceremony.
Mm.
Yeah, but I mean, these kids are not demons. They're still humans to whom that is. Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah. I'm just wondering. Yeah, but yeah, you're totally right.
Especially the one panel of that Afro kid right after that, where he says he's eating her. That really conveys the terror that they're feeling about this.
We should really be more sensitive to the child-eating demons' cultural values, guys. Come on, let's. This is just a different culture. Understand it, but we have to respect it.
Yeah, I do plan to respect the fuck out of it. Respect is the name of my shotgun.
I'm sure Willy Hat Rambo Girl has a lot of respecting to get done.
Also, do you think that they managed to spear one of the kids?
I don't really want to think about that personally, but maybe.
I don't
Like,
really,
in
I
this
don't really care
series,
about these
I
characters,
would
so I
not.
don't care.
I could not go either way, really.
Yeah, I don't know. No idea. It's a good chapter. Like, it's really freaky. But I don't know. This is definitely a case where Promised Neverland has been very, very intriguing lately. I'm curious to see when all of these. I guess I'm curious to see what the actual plan is. Because if the actual plan is just like, okay, every 2 kids take 1 demon, it seems a little chaotic right now, which isn't necessarily bad. I'm just curious to see where it comes together. I'm looking forward to the end of this chapter quite a bit because I found this villainous character who keeps showing up, basically the Lord of the Manor. I think he has a pretty cool design.
You mean
With
Baron
that-
Lewis?
You mean
Not
Bayon?
not Lewis, the other guy.
Bayon.
Oh, Lord Bayon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm curious to see what happens with him.
that is a cool design. I'm still bored by this arc. By all these human characters. I like the little things like Noose and Noma were a highlight. But
I think for me, just like the David and Goliath thing of like seeing these helpless people like try and fight back against these seemingly impossible demons, and like the action and how they do that is keeping me quite hooked with this one.
Yeah, not to mention the conversation between Lewis and Emma is pretty damn cool. Especially how Lewis just says that he's so happy that he gets to enjoy the hunt. It's all a game to him. Especially the one panel where he just does this weird pose.
Yeah.
Those bony fingers are just creepy.
well, happy it works for you. Right then. Anything else to mention? Shall we move on to We Never Learn?
We never land.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait!
Sorry.
Wait! I've got a better one. We Never Stone.
Yeah. We never stone. So this chapter was a good example for me of like, I would love Karisu as a character if she was in a different series. Like, she is so close to being a character that I really, really enjoy. But then there's just the element of she's the harem of a high school boy. She's in the harem of a high school boy that just kills it. And I'm like, why couldn't we just have her as a character in a slice of life series about people who at work? Like, she'd be so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, this was a decent, funny Kirisu chapter. Unfortunately, I hate when anything slightly suggestive happens between Kirisu and Yuiga, so I hate Kirisu chapters. So there we go.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
Although,
Essentially, what it is for me, I will never not find this inherently creepy, like really, really creepy. So whenever this happens, I just kind of not very much get like just squeaked out by it. I'm like, this is weird, and it also had the reoccurrence of my least favorite character in the entire series, which is the principal, who just showed up for a few seconds, but just reminded me how much I hate this character.
Yeah, to me, this chapter was, again, one of those where it just does not suggest romantic connection, and it was pretty damn funny in several places. Especially the end where she's like, I do not remember climbing the bed, but I must have done it just by my own willpower. That's
Well
expected
done,
of
me.
me. I'm awesome.
good job, me.
That
like this line.
obliviousness is quite funny, yeah.
Although I've got to ask, is Kirisu is Kurisu the main character we never learn now? Because it seems to me, it might just be me, but it seems like we've had much more focus on her than any of the other girls.
Give Takamoto more chapters. Give Takamoto more chapters.
Give
Fumi
Sanchez more
chapters.
time.
It's just, yeah, it seems like we've had like 3 Kurisu chapters in the span of 2 months. I don't know.
Yeah. I think
They-
there's an element of like that imbalance and also a sense of like, is this series just going to be like one-off comedic hijinks the whole way through, or is it actually going to get into some proper dramatic story arcs like I assume Nisekoi did later on? Like that's kind of what I gathered from what I've heard of it discussed.
Yeah, but Nisekoi still had like 90% filler in between. That was just like chapter hijinks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I so hard relate to these students and Kurisu. Like just listening to some headmaster or such just blabbing away in the front, and you're supposed to not sleep.
Oh yeah, I had a school headmaster who was just like that. Really dry.
Yeah, the main problem for me with Nisekoi was that we've had a surprising amount of progression at the beginning. We've had some progression at the end, but in between there was just a space of many filler chapters that were just standard harem hijinks. And We Never Learn seemed to be quite better at that at the beginning. Like it could space out, it would pace its progression chapters more, I think. But yeah, lately we've just been on a roll of or not very consequential chapters, I guess.
Welcome to Harem manga. You must be new here.
Well, I enjoy We Never Learn because it stays away from the tropes, not because it has it. So excuse me if I'm a bit disappointed that this harem manga is becoming a bit more like a usual harem manga.
I don't think it's ever really been that different from them.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've never quite.
I think
seen
it
the
is
difference.
just because my standards for harem manga is stuff like Girls Bravo, which is like the lowest tier of harem series you could get. So this doesn't seem too bad by comparison.
There are moments when it does. This one shot of Kurisu is definitely when it thinks it does. Like that is fucking impossible.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
once
I'm
again,
not talking. I'm not talking in terms of the fan service. I'm talking in terms of the general content and like characters.
Oh, okay.
Once again, how do these skirts work? No.
How does any of this work? Like, just the shot is perplexing to me.
It's Oh well.
So, we done here?
Yeah, let's move on to Dr.
Dr.
Wars.
Stone.
But what about Robot X Laser Beam?
What about Robot X Laser Beam?
Is it any good?
Guys, they play golf.
It's
They
you.
play lots of golf.
There's a mutual I have on Twitter who's flipping stoked about Robot X Laser Beam. He like posts about it every week. How great it is.
I
Even if you
I
want
talked a
Dr.
little
Stone's
about this
chapter
last
count
week.
is higher, so it comes first.
I talked a little about it last week, but it seems to have found its footing in the newest tournament arc. It's introduced some interesting characters. It delved into some strategic stuff, which I liked, which kind of reminded me of World Trigger. And I'm just enjoying it more than I did pre-time skip. Though I'm a bit sad that we don't have Dorian Green anymore, who was the best character.
We're going to
Still
talk Dr.
cracks me
Stone now.
Still cracks me up every time when I hear there was a time skip.
All right then. We never. All right then. Dr. Stone, chapter 51. AKA, to create phones, you need cotton candy, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, duh.
Or to be more specific, just use it to test the device and make sure it works just right before you go wasting gold.
Yeah.
AKA, how sexual can we outdo Food Wars, and how sexual will we make girls eating food look?
Yeah, once again, Dr. Stone has a better Food Wars chapter than Food Wars.
Yeah, like that spinal movement. I can't tell if that's Kohaku or if that's Ruri.
It's Rory.
Yeah, Ruri probably. Like her spine should be broken.
Yeah.
So even Magma's having an orgasm face while he eats it.
Yeah, I do love when we see Ruri's dad in this cutesy art style. I think it's one of the best images this week. I don't know what his name was.
One of my best was like when everyone's like, "Hey, Gen, how much do you know about that Homura girl?" Everyone's just like, "Oh, Senku is the girls, Senku is the girls," except Chrome and Kohaku are just immediately, they don't know Senku at all, right? Right.
Yeah, everyone is so randomly interested in Senku's love life, which makes sense. He's the new chief of the village. I like, well, leading into this moment, I like giving Homura cotton candy as setting up a plot point for a later, for a later character arc, I guess. And I do have the trust in Inagaki to execute it well. Although it would be quite funny if she just took the cotton candy to Tsukasa's village and then just everyone turns cold just because Senku has good food.
That would be pretty funny. So
It would be amusing if, like, to me, it would just be funny if, like, he totally got wrong. Like, so like, oh yeah, cotton candy's the thing you want in the stone world. And she's like, nope, cocaine. It's like, shit. Okay. I'm not sure I want to bring this into the stone world. I might have to give up on you.
And
So I have to ask, like, from anyone who actually knows how cotton candy is made, would it be that simple that he just rolls around the sugar?
I mean, I'm surprised he got that refined sugar out of it. I guess, like, it seems to quite work with the level of sugar that he'd probably have, but I don't know. I'm guessing here.
yeah, we just have to assume that the Stoner World's people's palates are just so bad that they.
We
that-
already established that in the ramen chapter where Senku says, "Oh god, this is terrible," and everyone else loves it.
Yeah.
Because these people are like, most they eat is salted fish, maybe some berries. They've never had cooked food.
Hmm.
Also, one more note what I like is when Senku's asking, what do you think if we put gold instead in the cotton candy machine? And you guys Chrome actually get it, because that just reminds me of if he had asked that from Taiju, he'd put something, we get gold and cotton candy! Oh yes, of course. Why the fuck do you ever answer anything, you idiot?
We get a smartphone. No. Oh yeah, you actually got it right this time.
Cocaine! No!
That's his new obsession. and we just have a recipe for cocaine within the chapter, but don't do it at home, guys. Wink, wink.
Yeah, like that old speech about don't dissolve bodies in lye, good boys and girls.
Oh god.
Yeah, just I think after this arc is over, he's gonna say, "Oh, by the way, Senku, this is my new best friend because he does not give me aneurysm every time I talk to him."
I do love that Chrome JoJo poses before he says that.
Yeah, like the most comedic JoJo pose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I love that. I also love that my boy Ginro is so blatant about wanting to escape as well. Which is a good point, and I'm glad that they brought it up. That yeah, we're just in a situation that we can't escape now.
Especially since the winter's coming. And I hope it doesn't take as long as it does in certain book series / TV show.
Hmm.
Because in that age, like, traveling throughout winter, it would be impossible. You couldn't gather supplies or anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you guys want to mention? Or shall we move on to oh god, we have a really packed week, and we have Boruto still.
Boruto's dad's son.
That
I think, yeah. For me, like, this chapter was... I think I'd really like the action in this manga if the art was better. Because, like, functionally and, like, how the fight scene is put together, it'd be quite cool if the art was good, but it's not, and that kind of ruins it.
Not really, like, I just feel this is the Naruto fight, you know, the one where it's just like, it wasn't a shadow clone after all, or it was a shadow clone after all. Like,
Again,
shadow clones are the only string to their bow.
Ao is a fucking idiot. He's fallen for the same trick twice.
So,
How is this ever a surprise to anyone? It is
I don't know.
like the
I
most
don't get
famous
several
ninja
things
technique
from this
in the
chapter.
world, and everyone's like, "Holy shit!" every time it happens.
Well, only Naruto's probably the only one we've seen use it effectively.
But he's the most famous ninja in the world.
Yeah, that too.
So, our is finished by Boruto's gang. He gets squashed to death by the bearded bloke from Kara, Kashin Koji, and he uses ninjutsu to save Boruto before he dies. So he doesn't completely abandon being a ninja. But my question is, why would using technology contradict being a ninja? It's all just weapons and tools.
Yeah, like, is it like, you use kunai, that's technology, so you abandon being a ninja? Because technology is really just far more advanced tools.
You wear clothes. You abandoned being a ninja.
Either way,
You
this
abandoned
just-
being a ninja for all those stupid lightsabers and flying attack drones. Okay, something about flying attack drones did make me laugh in the sense that, like, this is kind of dumb, but okay, sure.
I mean,
to me, Boruto's just like the manga that is there. That's the most I'm willing to say about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's less time consuming to get through than the anime, so I'll stick with it. Because I just dropped the anime just because it's like, if this was a seasonal thing where they just did 20-something episodes, stopped, then did another, I'd probably keep up with it. But just because they're doing an ongoing fillerific thing out of it, I just don't want to stick with it.
I also feel like just the powers in the series are a little inconsistent. Like, I felt like, because the last time Boruto used the Rasengan, didn't we complain about, like, how weak it seemed? And then this chapter, it's like the same finishing move it used to be.
no.
Like, it just
Like,
seems a little
Rasengan
inconsistent.
in general has just become like, lost all its luster. It's just the standard move. It's the Kamehameha of this series. It's just used whenever. And its power is powered by the plot, I'd say.
Yeah, I actually am in the minority that likes Boruto using a lightsaber because, well, it gives him more of a unique identity.
I actually do.
from
I actually
his
kind of
dad.
like the lightsaber Rasengan combo, to be honest. Like that, I was saying, I think the action could be cool if the art was better, and I kind of like that as a finishing blow.
I don't mind the lightsaber. I
Uh,
mind the inconsistency in technique use, which is like, it feels like half the time they use techniques and they're really in a time they're like gigantic finishing moves. It just sort of feels like the power scale itself isn't fully developed, and it's just sort of it's more plot relevant than it is what the characters could actually do.
Okay. As I said, I think the lightsaber is a tool that kind of gives him more of a unique identity to you know, from his dad, which he kind of badly needs. But okay, so speaking of tools, Boruto gives Ao a screwdriver, and Ao's like, "Go on, kill me with it." And Boruto's like, "Silly Ao, screwdrivers don't kill people. People kill people with screwdrivers."
I fucking hate Boruto. I fucking hate Boruto. Just like
And, like, the moment he took out that screwdriver, already he saw everything that was going to happen and how it would be so hackneyed.
but just the fucking pretentiousness of this little shit, just being like,
Yeah.
I discovered this lesson 5 minutes ago, and now I'm gonna lecture you on it. It's like, fuck off.
Especially since Ao lectured him about it earlier, so I
Fuck
don't know.
Boruto.
Again,
It's insane to me how completely unlikable Boruto is in comparison to Naruto. Just the fact that, like, yeah, Naruto could be annoying, but at least had a shit life beforehand, and like it makes sense why he would end up this way, and it was well explained. Boruto's just a dickbag.
So speaking of tools, will Konohamaru ever do anything? Will he show any character at all? For fuck's sake, even Al has been a better mentor to Boruto than him.
I forgot he was here.
He just gets knocked unconscious, and he's a complete jobber in this fight. I mean, he's a Jonin for fuck's sake. could you show off his skills just a little bit, please?
This I think is a good example of what people hate about supplementary media a lot of the time, is that obviously you have to try and make the new characters seem good so they're worthy against like the previous characters, but so often I find that what the result is you just take old characters and like, wow, you suck now. Because obviously if you have the older characters do too much, then it makes the newer characters seem superfluous. And if you have the newer characters do too much, it really does seem like, well, I guess the older characters just suck now. So it just generally is something about supplementary media that I've never really been big on.
Sometimes in sequels, like, this is kind of an off example, but in Borderlands, the first game's Wild Hunters were like, oh no, that robot's really strong. It beat all of us back then. And then I just alone take it down in a few minutes. It's not even towards the end of the game. It's like 1/3 in or something. Wow, you guys started sucking real hard.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Boruto as a manga is a unique case in that it made Sasuke suck less. But yeah, apart from that, I'm not a big fan of how it uses Konohamaru. Right then. Anything else to mention, or shall we move on to?
I think at this point, the most curious thing the thing I'm most curious about in Boruto is how long its popularity will last. Because I know the initial volumes sold quite well, but I'm wondering, like, will people stick with it, or will they get bored and drop it, and will it drop off?
Yeah.
So that's just what I'm curious to see.
Just drop Boruto off the recap, because does anyone actually want to recap it?
I'm quite happy recapping it personally.
I'm fine. It bores me less than Food Wars, honestly, and sometimes the Promised Neverland. Yeah, all right then. So shall we move on to Jujutsu Clover?
Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, didn't that finish last week?
I thought it did.
Isn't chapter 3 out now? I've only discussed.
No, that was last week's issue. We could talk about it anyway, because I haven't had a chance to really speak on it since the first couple of chapters or something.
Yeah.
While I've read it, I had no other context for it. I didn't read the first two, so I'm just gonna drop out now of the conversation and come back when it's over.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like I don't know. It doesn't do anything to stand out for me. It's not quite as bad as Bo's Beats in terms of like genericness, but it's still kind of. It does just feel like every other series themed around this sort of thing. I don't know the specific religion if it's like Shintoism or what, but like Blue Exorcist, that kind of camp. And I'm already following Blue Exorcist, so like I don't really see much reason to jump on this.
I get what this chapter was supposed to do for Yuji, for the main character. It was establish a personal motivation for him since he was a little bland, but I'm not sure if I want to live a life without regrets help with that. Okay, I'll take it. This chapter is a bit more boring than the last two, though.
Yeah, and also I generally don't like the panel layout of this manga. I think it never gives anything the impact it needs. Like I'm talking generally in terms of the series, because I mentioned in the first chapter how his grandfather died, and it felt so nonchalant about the way it presented that, and that's meant to be a big driving force of his character. And in the second chapter, where he just activates the power he's received for the first time on his own, I feel like that deserves like a big like half panel spread at least, and he just does it in like a regular panel. And I think it kind of plays into how panel layout can be really important in how you convey the emotion of your manga.
I just find everything about this series to be very underwhelming. I find the panel layout to be underwhelming. I find the character designs to be underwhelming. I find the monsters and powers to be underwhelming. There's nothing standing out about this series at all, and sorry to say, it does kind of seem like if you told somebody about Exorcist manga, this is what they try to write. Like, in like a fully realized idea, it sort of just seems like somebody trying to make something based off of this concept, but without any depth at all, really. It just seems like a very surface area series.
Although I've got to ask about okay, one image, one panel in the manga just fucked me over completely because I was so surprised by it. So he introduces Yuji introduces himself to the principal. My name is Yuji Itadori. I like girls like Jennifer Lawrence. Nice to meet you. The fuck? Where did that character trait come from? He's been so bland until this point that I couldn't imagine him. What? I like girls like Jennifer Lawrence. Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, principal of the Jujutsu Exorcist school I'm going to attend. The fuck?
I mean, it's almost a character trait. It's weird, so I guess it's, I don't know, maybe that counts as character development. I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird.
I don't fucking know.
All right then.
I'm not sad to not see any more of this series.
Yeah. Shall we move on to Noah's Academia, Chapter 3?
Gulch's notes.
Gulch's notes, yeah, that's right. Jonah, with how much of a butt monkey Takeda is, I think he is now our Kevlar.
I'll take it.
For what it's worth, hell is a place on Earth.
I do love the little notification of Takeda has received special training. Don't try driving motor vehicles on too little sleep, kids. Like,
I'll just bring up, why would kids be driving motor vehicles in the first place?
I think it's like a future advice thing, like don't smoke, kids type thing. But yeah.
Yeah. So, how many foodgasms can we have in one edition of Shonen Jump? We had one in Food Wars, obviously. We had a whole series of them in Dr. Stone, surprisingly, and now we just go to Rome, Italy.
And it seems that Mirai's gone to the Blowjob school of eating pizza.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of pizza eating. I was immediately reminded of that panel of Rory taking medicine in Doctor Stone.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I so badly want to make this the chapter, but no. The blowjobs. Blowjob
School of eating pizza. One thing that I am a little, it's like a minor artwork quibble, but I find Mirai pulls the same face a lot of that kind of shouty while blushing kind of indignant face, and like it's the same face over and over again. I am getting
Yeah.
a bit bored of that as a reaction to stuff.
I don't mind it if we treat it as you know, her trademark face, like Yuma has his duck face, Chika has her V face. Oh,
And hers is just, God damn it, I don't want to do this.
There is another thing I found as a connection to the Eyebrow Pirates adventure, is I feel like this character, sometimes her thought process is like the joke thought process that we have, but like played a bit more straight, where she's like, Mafia, is that like a muffin? Oh, they're gonna kill us. That's not like a muffin at all. Which is her actual thoughts, and like that's something we too like. Just complete idiot. This is like our main character.
Yeah. Oh god.
But yeah, no. I voted for this one in the survey, which I don't usually bother with because it's a lot of hassle to just go to the link and do the survey. But I would really like to see more of this.
Mm-hmm.
The only complaint about this is I think this chapter is a little chaotic, but I'm still pretty interested in this series.
Mm.
I don't really bother with much of the theory stuff, but I do like the interactions between the characters.
Mm.
And I do find the fact that the villains in this series are the Knights Templar to be just something so ridiculous that again, it's
I
just
love
like
Assassin's Creed.
I know, it just endeared me more and more to this series, to the point that like when we see, and I know this is an actual like historical, but the moment where like the Holy Grail is essentially being handed to the Dark Souls guy, it's just like I hope this manga is just full of like unintentional video game references all the way through, because then it will be even more like the Eyebrow Pirates adventure.
You know what I've just realized? The Knights Templar guy has a Celtic cross on his hat. The Demon Druids pirates, you say?
I can't wait till Noah's asshole uncle shows up with a shadow sword.
Well, enjoy that one last because the forum's going down.
Oh.
I would fucking love if for some reason suddenly Lelouch and Hawajima's Shizuo just come to do a crossover.
Mm.
Oh god. Yeah, now I'm sad. Shall we talk about the chapter 2 of Ziga?
Ziga. I think I don't give my stance on this series in general with the because I wasn't here last week. I really like the kaiju element of the manga. This chapter made me gave me some reservations about the protagonist though, because I don't like how he's instantly jumped to sort of edgy, revenge-filled Eren Yeager protag, whereas I feel like he should be more of a desperate, scrambling kind of everyman who's like really, really scared and just doing everything out of desperation. And I feel like he came across as a bit too hyper competent here.
Oh my god. Is this series turning into Guilty Crown?
It is the end of Guilty Crown episode 1 again.
I couldn't read this chapter, but that really does sound like Shu.
Yes, no, it is similar. He like gets a weapon and like makes it, personalizes it with his power, and like takes out a monster, a big explodey thing with an explosion. It's just like the end of Guilty Crown.
I've just
episode
got
one.
I've just got a question. Does he
Yeah.
does he take it out of her out of his dead girlfriend's boobs?
No,
What?
he grabbed a girl's gun that was lying on the ground.
Okay.
Bit different. He still acquires it from a female presence in the series, but not out of her boobs.
Okay. So that works. If this series continues, then I'm just gonna be happy to do Guilty Crown references every time we recap it.
Yeah, he did a really good job shooting that mimic. I thought that was really.
Yeah.
I gotta admit the all you need is kill crossover was not one I was expecting, but I think that this is taking the series in a very interesting direction.
Oh yeah, they did look a lot like those.
Exactly the same with like the tentacles and the big mouth and like the dark spiky. I don't know. It's too bad because I actually thought the not Godzilla monster was actually a pretty cool design.
Also, just generally, I'd like to see like a manga themed around kaiju, because kaiju is just such a huge staple of Japanese media. So that conceptually is cool to me. I might, if chapter 3 sticks the landing on this and keeps me interesting, I'll probably vote for this as well. Because this has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I like all the first chapters of the new Jump Starts. I'm not so big on Jujutsu Kaisen now. Yeah. Though one thing we have to say about Ziga, these ears are fucking huge. No, really.
Also, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the same mangaka as It was the one with like the big airship and the kids. They were doing a rebellion with a big
Red
airship.
Sprite.
Red
Is this
Sprite.
the same mangaka as that? The art style looks a bit similar.
Oh.
I'm just curious.
Do they also have huge ears? Okay, it's Kentaro Hideno. So
Yeah, the art by Kentaro Hideno. In this series. Wait, do you mean of this series of Red Sprite?
which one is? Oh, right. I just remembered that that the mangaka for Noah's Note is the same. Is the same as the one from Mononofu, which is also
nice.
a jump start I really enjoyed. So yeah, I hope it sticks.
I'm looking at the Mal page at Yagi Tomohiro. Okay, no, it's a completely different manga. I thought the art style looks a little similar in Ziga, but it's not the same guy.
It's Kentaro Hideno. Okay. All right then. So that is gonna do it for this week of Stammer Stream. Thank you all for watching, either on my YouTube channel or live at twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. We usually try to record on Saturdays at 10 AM Eastern Standard Time, 3 PM GMT, 4 PM GMT+1, and then 5 PM GMT+2. You can follow me on Twitter at WensleyCheddar for updates on the stream, on Pinganto, World Triggered, Friendly Faces Everywhere, #Raise Pokemon Journey, featuring our very own Dr. Nova, and many other projects. Follow Milo at HovinwithanH for anime waifus, and Trial by Guilty Crown, a series of anime commentaries he does with Caster. You can find it on YouTube in the description below, or in the annotations.
We had a new episode recently where Wensleydale joined us, and me and Wensleydale also did a drunk cast of the One Piece movie, Baronatsumu Omatsuri and the Secret Island.
Oh yeah, that's recently come out, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I imagine it has lots of squeeing moments on my part.
Yes, and lots of blue. We yell the word blue out a lot.
It's so cute.
It kind of deteriorates towards the end because like we're just clearly very conked out. And like with the Death Note one, there's a big post amble where we go on all sorts of weird tangents.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want some of that,
Yeah, I feel like that's a staple of our drunk cast now.
Yeah.
follow Greil on Twitter at NuclearAndroid and follow Dr. Nova on Instagram to see his delicious cooking. That's instagram.com/Jonah_Snow. A sincere thank you to our recent subs on YouTube. It's thanks to you that we may one day catch up to our eternal rivals, Manga Mavericks. I think we got a new one this week, though I don't remember the name. It's Blade631, something like that, yeah. And a huge shout out to iDrawShittyArt for making our 1-year anniversary channel art. You can see when you visit our YouTube channel. How did you like that, guys? By the way,
It's very amusing.
I hope your likenesses were true to your to how you would want them.
Yeah, it was cute. It was cute.
You can follow her on iDrawShittyArt. Shitty is spelled with 3 T's for some reason, and draw, shitty, and art are capitalized. And she's also on Tumblr and DeviantArt. We've got a few announcements. Firstly, the sadder one. Conforums is shutting down in 15 days, and thus our One Piece RP forum will be no more. It will have ceased to be. It will expire and not even meet its maker because he's busy doing weekly manga recap and writing research papers on millennials. So, make sure you visit the forum before that if you want to see your stories saved somewhere else.
Also, sorry,
Yeah?
I've opened up TweetDeck and I just saw like a screen cap from the next MHA chapter. It wasn't really spoilery, but it is just kind of that feeling of, oh, I just kind of wanted to read that firsthand.
Aww.
It's a bit annoying.
That's a shame. Don't spoil don't spoil manga before the release, people. Yeah. On a lighter note, part 3 of that comic dub of this Undertale AU I'm in has come out recently, and I'm in it as Frogget and Whimsun. Though I never have really understood what a Whimsun is supposed to be. I guess it's like a weird butterfly fairy baby. What did you see it as, Greil?
I'm gonna have to look up the design because I can't remember it right now. Let's see it. Undertale.
I was very surprised that its overworld design was blue. I didn't expect that. Whimsun.
It all sounds like a ghost fly.
Yeah, that's right. Something along those lines. Which must to be fair make every encounter between Whimsun and Frogget a bit, you know, kind of awkward. Never mind.
I don't know Undertale.
Nah, you should play it. Alright then. Once again, cheers for watching, everyone, and we will see you next week. Take care. Happy Eastern Passover.
Mm-hmm.